Right. Hi, my name's Alexandra. So, for talking about Indigenous sovereignty, to me, it seems to mean that Indigenous people would be able to get the control and the right to really rule over themselves, self-govern. I feel like it would mean that they would be able to have the right to practice all aspects of their culture and not have anyone impeding on this right. And they would also have the right to protection of all of their own land, not have to ever worry about anyone coming, not building anything on it in a certain way like that. Kind of taking it off the definition of sovereignty I've learned in politics classes, but for self-governing themselves, really. So I found what they call themselves as a collective. It's a group of artists who really work towards promoting the sovereignty and how sovereignty is being expressed these days. The collective is called the Post-Community. It is a group of 3 artists, and they really work to show what borders and globalization has now done to our world, and also how sovereignty has really become a lost definition. They actually used the border of Mexico and the US to really show this in their work. One of the works that caught my eye, that seemed the most relevant to Indigenous sovereignty, was a piece of their work where they had huge yellow balloons that they tied up on either side of the American and Mexican border. They had 13 balloons on either side, and these balloons were tied up in a straight line that was kind of representing a kind of a fence or a border that was completely perpendicular to the fence on the Mexican border. This was supposed to show how totally meaningless both the fence at the border and the balloon fence was. Obviously the balloon fence was just a whole bunch of balloons, but it really showed how people were it didn't mean anything in the global scale, and how the fence at the border also doesn't really mean anything in a global scale, and how it was just kind of people decided this is this place where this fence has to go, but it really does not have any significant meaning in that one area of land, and how this has definitely changed of how globalization has contributed to this, and how and then another thing about this entire project was each of these balloons had what is called a scare eye on it, which is a drawing of a blue eye. It almost looks like an eye. It's supposed to represent as someone watching you and to scare away predators. In this case, because it was on the border, it was to scare away border patrol and police of sorts, because it really is scaring it away from the border, which is an insignificant line across land, and it was also supposed to be a reminder that land has ears and eyes, and so everything that is being done and everything that happens is being watched by others, and other people care about what's happening, in a sense. So that was what I found.